Today we're going to look at GM foods. It's all going to be gloom and doom, I'm afraid, again. But here's a ray of sunshine, okay? And my videos are going to be mainly about this. This is all stuff I need to get out of the way before we get on to this. Dr. Seignelay's miracle diet. Dr. Seignelay was a French professor of medicine. This is how you pronounce it, yeah? Jean Seignelay. Jean Seignelay. Jean Seignelay. So he devised a diet to cure chronic disease. And what it does, he found out that most chronic diseases are caused by leaky gut. And that's caused by the food we eat, particularly things like wheat and dairy damage the gut. And waste molecules which shouldn't permeate the gut do permeate the gut, end up in our bloodstream, end up in our cells, and wreak havoc, okay? So we'll go into all of that in other videos. But anyway, just to show you, over a period of 20 years, he treated 2,565 patients with 115 different diseases. The diet worked in 91 of the diseases. It was effective. And 1,631 of the patients had complete remissions. And over 2,300 improved. So that includes complete remissions, 90% remissions, 50% improvements. There were a few failures. Not many, just a few, not many. Anyway, so that's coming up, yeah? So don't miss that. Don't miss my videos, because I'm going to be showing you, I'm going to be making loads and loads of videos, and I'm going to be showing you how to follow the Seignelay diet. I'll be making recipes, yeah? I follow it myself. I've been following it for about 4 years. So I'll show you. If you don't know how to do it, if you don't know the recipes, it's very hard going. But if you know how to do it, it's very easy and delicious, yeah? So anyway, let's look at GM foods. And the reason I need to get all this out of the way is Dr. Seignelay, French professor of medicine, died in 2002. So he talked then, this is his book. This is his book, big doorstep of a book. You can see how well I've read it. Look, all these little marks, bookmarks here. L'alimentation ou la troisième médecine, nutrition, the third medicine. This hasn't been translated into English. If you're a publisher and you want to publish it, it's a bestseller in France, makes big money in France, okay? So if you want to publish this, get in touch with me. Go to my website. The link will be underneath to my website, and you'll see contact details to get in touch with me. Get in touch with me, and I'll put you in touch with Dr. Seignellay's daughters who own the rights, and you can publish this. It's going to cost a lot of money to translate, yeah. Anyway, yeah, because it's quite technical. There's a lot of technical stuff in here. So let's get on to GM foods. So genetically modified foods. By the way, I highly recommend this website on GM foods, earthopensource.org. We'll put a link underneath. I got most of my information from there, and it's written by PhDs. So these are people who know what they're talking about, yeah? So what foods are GM foods currently? So as we saw with irradiated foods, all of this stuff is supposed to be labeled for consumers. So if you go in the supermarket, if there's any GM food, it should be labeled as such. Most of it goes into processed food, of course, which we don't want to eat anyway. So, I mean, if you're stupid enough to eat processed food, you know, you'll get some GM food as well. But, you know, my videos are for intelligent people, okay? So, you know, follow my videos, eat properly, maybe you'll become more intelligent. So, these are the foods so far that are GM foods. So we got soybeans. A lot of these foods are for animals. The soybeans are mainly for animal feed. And that's another reason why you only want to eat pasture raised and pasture finished meat, okay? Animals that have been raised on grass and finished on grass. And that stuff is expensive. But if you can't afford, you know, if you're on a budget, you know, maybe don't eat meat so much, you know, have fish, you can eat fish, salmon, very good. And just have the meat as a treat, maybe once a week. So have really nice, really good meat, you know, pasture raised, pasture finished meat. There's a very good online supplier in the UK called Pharma, and I thoroughly recommend their meat. It comes from the Highlands and from the Yorkshire National Park, and those cows are left out all year round. So anyway, I digress. So we got soybeans, cotton we're not too worried about, I don't think. Canola is made from rapeseed, and it's Canadian, as the name implies. You know, just apart from the fact that it's made from GM rapeseed, we wouldn't want to eat that anyway, you know, because of the manufacturing process. We want virgin cold-pressed oils like virgin olive oil. We don't want to eat that stuff. Sugar beets, again, mainly for animals, I think. Maybe for making sugar. I didn't look that up. I should have looked that up. I think perhaps for making sugar, but we don't want to eat refined sugar anyway. So, we won't eat that. Papaya. Now that worries me because that's a beautiful tropical fruit. Okay. So now we can't eat papaya. We can't trust it because we can't trust in the food in the food supermarkets. There's no, you know, in theory, it's regulated. In the UK, in theory, yeah? I'm not talking about US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. I don't know what happens there. But I know in the UK, well, it's regulated everywhere. It's supposed to be labelled. If it's GM papaya in the supermarket, it should be labelled as such. But, you know, the regulatory agencies aren't doing their jobs. Okay, the UK is the local standards food safety teams, and I've never heard of them, fining anyone for selling GM papaya. Squash. Now, squash, courgette and zucchini are squash. Courgette is the English word. Zucchini, the US word. It's the same thing. Courgette, zucchini, and those are squashes. So I've stopped getting courgette from the supermarket. I get my food from France. I get my food from France from a place where their food is, they guarantee it's not treated in any way at all. No pesticides, no insecticides, no treatment, no heat treatment, no pasteurization, nothing at all. It's just fresh, and it's all the fruits, the avocados are picked ripe from the tree. Okay, they're not picked weeks before and treated with ethylene gas. They're picked right from the tree, and it goes straight to you. They buy stuff from small producers. So that's where I get my courgette now. I had a delivery today. Oh, the stuff's fabulous. They get fruits from Indonesia. Absolutely fabulous. All kinds of different exotic fruits that you've never seen before, and so delicious. So we'll get onto that when I get into the cellulose diet. I'll show you where to go for your stuff from France, shipped by UPS. Gets here in about 2 days. So, corn. This is another big one. Corn and maize. So the US is called corn. In the UK, it's called maize. So, what is a GM plant? So, 3 ways they can mess about with the genes. They can edit the genes, modify them, modify the information in a gene. They can move, delete, or multiply genes. They can splice together pieces of existing genes or make new ones. This is all playing God again, yeah? It's like bloody Frederick Gates in Camp Riley, yeah, killing 50 to 100 million people. This is playing God. They don't know what they're doing, yeah? They think they do, but God knows what effect this has. So, and we'll get on to that in a minute. We can see it's having a terrible effect. You don't want to be eating this stuff, and you don't want to be eating meat that's fed this stuff, because Dr. Seniole proved that, you know, eating the wrong foods damages our guts. It's going to do the same thing in animals, so it's going to damage their guts. Yeah, it's going to be sick animals, which we don't want to eat. We want to eat healthy animals, okay? So, why do they do this? Well, to make a new protein or alter an existing one, and so the plant has a new trait. For example, they've made a thing called golden rice, and they splice the daffodil gene into rice, so it makes beta-carotene. Now, beta-carotene, if you eat it with some fat, you have to eat it with some fat for it to work, but the body will transform it into vitamin A. Now, vitamin A in its final form, it's called retinol. And if you eat too much of it, it can be toxic. So if you eat too much liver, for example, it can have a toxic effect. So if you eat beta-carotene and it transforms into vitamin A, you can't eat too much. You can't poison yourself doing that, because once the body has the optimum amount of vitamin A, it won't make any more from the beta-carotene. So beta-carotene, very good thing, with oil makes vitamin A. So the idea is to make rice with beta-carotene, you know, third world populations that have all sorts of vitamin A deficiencies. But just eat bloody carrots, all right? There's plenty of beta-carotene in carrots. You don't need to mess about with rice. And the first version of it, you'd have to eat, I think, I can't remember the exact figure, but it's something like 3 kilos of the stuff you'd have to eat, or 30 kilos, something like that. You'd have to eat to get enough beta-carotene to make vitamin A. So pretty pointless exercise. They made a Mark II version, which is supposed to be better, but they still haven't got it to the point where it's in production. So hopefully it never will be. Yeah, a new trait. Another reason is to get the plant to produce its own insecticide to resist a herbicide like glyphosate, also known as Monsanto Roundup, okay? That's what it is, glyphosate, and that's in Monsanto Roundup. So now in 2004, Monsanto wanted to introduce a new GM maize in Europe. And so they did a 90-day trial. They fed with rats, and they fed them the GM maize. Obviously, they had control rats, which they didn't feed GM. They fed ordinary maize, not GM maize, and they compared the two. And according to Monsanto, everything was tickety-boom, no problem. And they showed the study to the European Commission, you know, the body that okays that. Not sure what it is, but you know, they showed it to the EC. And the EC said, yeah, fine, go ahead. And they authorized it. That was in 2004. So in 2012, this annoying French professor, Seralini, at the University of Caen, professor of, I don't know, biology, something like that, he got hold of the Monsanto study and he looked at it. First of all, he noticed that there were some bad effects on the rats just in the 90-day study. But anyway, he did exactly the same study as Monsanto had done. He followed their protocol exactly, except that he fed the rats for 2 years, okay, on the GM maize. Again, there were controls. Rats which didn't eat the GM maize had ordinary maize. And what he found was multiple organ damage in the rats fed the GM maize. Let me read out to you. Oh yeah, so there was significant damage was found to mammary tissues, liver, kidneys and pituitary glands of the rats fed the GM maize, grown with and without Roundup, and in the rats given Roundup alone in drinking water. Oh yeah, of course the point of the GM maize was to resist Roundup. So it went together with the Roundup. You know, you sowed the GM maize, you sprayed it with Roundup to kill all the weeds, but the maize resisted the Roundup. So significant damage was found to mammary tissues, liver, kidneys, pituitary glands of the rats fed the GM maize, grown with and without Roundup, and in the rats given Roundup alone in drinking water. So the Roundup, of course, the GM maize would be contaminated with Roundup, you know, and so, you know, you would be eating, I guess this maize gave it to animals as well as humans, I don't know. Yeah, in 2009, French professor of molecular biology. So, and they found in the original Monsanto study, they found evidence of liver and kidney damage. And the Seralini study was published in the International Journal of Biological Sciences, proper peer-reviewed journal, yeah, serious journal, where there's a peer review body, and you know, it's only published after examination by the peer review. The article, the paper, was withdrawn by you know, obviously Monsanto kicked up a terrible stink because this was a bomb. The French, what was it? French member of the European Parliament, an ex-minister for the Environment, Corinne Lepage, called the study a bomb. So it totally demolished the credibility of Monsanto studies to gain regulatory approval worldwide, and hopefully it will lead to the collapse of the GMO industry. Yeah, of course, the Monsanto did everything they could to put pressure on the journal that had published it, and it was retracted. So if you go onto PubMed and look for the paper, you can see the paper, but at the top it's got withdrawn. So it was retracted by the editor after a scientist who had done work for Monsanto joined the review board of the journal. Yeah, stinks again here. So, yeah, Seralini's study was supported by hundreds of scientists across the world. And, yeah, so they all came out, and you can read about all this on earthopensource.org. You'll get the full story there, yeah, very well written, beautifully written articles, and all the sources are quoted. So there we are, that's GM foods, and we don't want to eat them, we want nothing to do with them, we want them banned, and to our regulatory agencies, I say, get your bloody fingers out, yeah? Get this stuff out of just gone, yeah? We don't want it, okay? So there we go. So that's it for today. Okay,